Hello, and very happy to see you on my channel again. This video, we give you an opinion of the Harry Markle blog about the latest act of Harry and Meghan. Harry hijacks the Diana Award with the Harkle agenda. We expected something on Diana's birthday, July 1st, from the Sussex camp, and after a quiet morning, we were bombarded after tea time with Harkle stories. First came the latest Hostage Harry video for the Diana Award virtual award ceremony. Nicknamed because Harry is always filmed against an innocuous wall. This was followed by a report that further legal documents pertaining to the lawsuit Meghan Markle has instigated against Associated Newspaper Limited had been released. Included were various frivolous claims from Meghan Markle's lawyers, where she protested her innocence again at being unaware that 5 of her friends had spoken to a gossip magazine without her knowledge or permission. Among the items of note were that the famous 5 friends have been named but are to be referred to as A, B, C, D, and E, and it's still considered confidential information. They may hide behind this transient blanket of anonymity, but they must realize they will be outed. And all this ducking and diving simply makes them look guilty of something. At this point, you want to cry out, "Just come forward because we all have a good idea of who you are already." I mean, what is the big secret considering Meghan Markle has less than a dozen friends anyhow? Other allegations that Meghan Markle's lawyers have idiotically thrust into the public domain include Meghan Markle's claim that she was responsible for bringing in income to the UK during the wedding. It was summer and the UK is busy with tourists regardless. And that the royal family failed to protect her while she was pregnant. But protect her from what exactly? She was the one that was doing all the PR leaks all the while she was planning to exploit the royal family by using Sussex Royal as a brand to make money. The legal documents will be covered in a subsequent article, but all she has done is make herself look foolish in claiming the wedding was paid by Charles, thus was private funding. Does she not realize that the root source of the majority of the royal incomes have come from the public? All this on Diana's birthday anniversary? Isn't that simply low and despicable? More PR stories on the Sussexes' visit to the homeboy factory were pushed, claiming Meghan Markle spoke impressive Spanish, but the simple fact is no one actually cares. The visit last week was for publicity reasons, nothing more, but it seems that they are desperate to rehash anything to get some media coverage. No one cares because the real news is that the coronavirus is still rife with the Leicester lockdown and the pubs are reopening this weekend. These are the actual stories people care about because they affect our daily lives. We don't want to or need to be lectured on life from someone who betrayed and lied to his country and his family, who is squatting in the home of a stranger and who is living off his father while instigating frivolous lawsuits when he throws his toys out of his pram. The video clip made for the Diana Award virtual ceremony was no surprise. We expected it. But this shouldn't take away from the achievements of the recipients of the awards. Yet somehow Harry makes it about him and Meghan Markle and what they want to do. Again, that was expected and was another disappointment. It seems like Groundhog Day with another video released, and my having to watch it, and then to describe it for posterity. I sigh as the nondescript background reappears, and Harry wears a gray jacket with a white shirt, and that's him apparently making an effort. What tomfoolery is this, I ask myself. This time the video is 2 minutes and 8 seconds long, twice as long as the usual clips, twice as much to endure. There's an overdose of word salad laced with rancid salad dressing, as a wannabe actor makes a pitiful attempt of pitching his paltry wares to the world. The video looked awkward and fake before it played. The hostage wall was used as a backdrop and was poorly lit, and there was an audible background noise. Yet the creators seemed to think that they had been clever. The result was an amateur video that looked like an audition tape under the guise of an introduction for an award ceremony. As soon as Harry begins to speak, the excessive and awkward head movements kick in, but this time with cringe-worthy hand gestures that cross his chest several times, a repeat performance from Meghan Markle Immaculate Heart video, with the odd fist punch and finger pointing. These were all designed to identify with the viewer, knowing this would be posted on social media worldwide in a futile attempt to elicit sincerity and solidarity with their audience. You can feel Meghan Markle is behind the camera ordering him to act with the gestures that he seemed to be randomly copying, just like a child does when they do their first nativity play with the teacher or parent prompting them from the sidelines. He tries too hard to engage with the audience with his obvious overemphasis on words and fake facial expressions, and is clearly using this as an audition tape, plying his pitiful soul to prosthetic marks. He slips in, or rather Meghan Markle told him what to say, the same rhetoric Meghan Markle spouted in her Immaculate Heart address, wittering on about how sorry he was that his generation and all others before him didn't do enough to save the world from racism. Members of the royal family, irrespective of whether they are working for the family or not, are supposed to refrain from discussing such topics. Yet Harry, under Meghan Markle's tutelage, accuses the world of institutional racism, and when he calls it endemica, you wonder whether he even understands what he is saying. His excessive blinking is from reading a script, so how much of what he said did he actually mean or understand? At this point, I imagine many are already disgusted at Harry. For what right does a freeloading traitor have to apologize on behalf of the world or other generations for something that is sadly part of human nature? Stamping out prejudices takes time, yet some prejudices will always exist, and that's being realistic rather than utopic. To assume it can be eradicated totally is foolhardy, but as a society, we must not tolerate prejudices, and by making such behavior illegal is a step forward, as well as making sectors of society aware that their beliefs are not acceptable and will not be tolerated. Claiming that you can change the minds and indoctrinate others is simply arrogant, and that's how dictators like Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin operated. Chris Shifty Shippy, again clung to the precipice of the sinking SS Sussex and highlighted the video clip on his Twitter account. He was rewarded with the views of the British, who replied with stories of Harry being caught and reprimanded for being racist, and mocking Harry not only for what he said, but how he looked. I feel sorry that the charity was used as a platform for the Sussex's rhetoric, but by now that's part of being associated with them. One can only sigh and groan when Harry carries on about unconscious bias again. Does the world unconsciously loathe the Sussexes? He suddenly gets passionate towards the end with more finger-pointing and stumbles with his last few lines, and outlines the we. I assume Meghan Markle and himself and their agenda, yet his words are hollow and fake. The exaggerated intonation used throughout the video was indicative of Harry focusing on key trigger words that were disingenuous and well-rehearsed. He nearly made it, but for the last stumble, and it's clear that there must have been several takes. It sounded to me as if he was recruiting fans or supporters. Overall, the video is a shameful and shallow picture of a former prince who was once popular. There was the obligatory mention of his mother and a nanosecond for his brother, while he harped on about Meghan Markle and their claims with more vigor. One can only feel shame and embarrassment if you were able to watch this without reaching for a few buckets. He is a poor player that struts and frets his hour in front of a blank wall, signifying nothing. We actually hope that we no longer hear from the dastardly duo, as they keep trying and failing to be something they are not, and something no one wants. His awkward movements throughout suggest that he was acting, while fake smiling and trying to engage with the camera. He gets a D for his pathetic performance. The public response on the video on social media is clear-cut, where the majority of comments laugh at Harry, who is angry at hypocrite Harry, and many have posted images of Harry dressed as a Nazi, and clippings from old stories where Harry admitted to, as he was caught on videotape, calling a fellow soldier a racist and derogatory name. No one believes his spiel. No one is interested either. 'Tis a tragic tale of Harry as Shakespeare may have written, of a prince who was intent on pursuing a path of self-destruction, a victim of his own arrogance who destroyed his credibility and reputation, and with his relentless desire for revenge against the world also ruined the reputations of his kinfolk and the citizens of his nation. There are no words for the disgust that many feel after seeing this video, but it is with sorrow and anger that many have chosen to share their sentiments on my Facebook post where I shared the video clip. As many have said, all this does is make the royal family look weak, as each sly act that the Sussexes appear to get away with undermine all the good work that other members of the royal family carry out. The Sussex titles mean nothing, yet they cling to them with their bare claws because that's all they actually have to sell a meaningless title, accompanied by a regurgitated speech with a selection of key and trigger words designed to entice a gullible audience. The finger of fate and the cloud of karma engulfs the Harkles, for all can see their true intentions, which are less than honorable. If the royal family fails to put a halt to this charade, then fate and karma will simply take over, and it appears that they are doing so. They will be brutal, and we as bystanders will watch and shake our heads, for it could have all been dealt with earlier on with fewer casualties. Shakespearean tragedies never ended well, as the dark clouds of the Sussex denouement slowly gather for the grand finale. And you, what do you think about this opinion? Please let me know in the comments section below and we'll discuss it. If you love my video, remember to like and share it for anyone and anytime you want. Also, subscribe to my channel to get more news from the royal family by our team. Now, thank you for watching, goodbye, and see you in the next video.